Welcome, everyone, to the Business Freedom Formula. I'm your host, John Arns. And today I'm proud to have as a guest Armando Roman. Welcome, Armando. How are you
Hey
tonight?
John, thanks. I'm doing really well, John. I know you're on the other side of on the other side of the coast, so I'm happy to be in your program. I'm a little asleep, but I'm still awake.
That's so good, good. Well, we'll see if we can keep you energized and keep your eyes popped open, okay?
Let's do it. Sounds great.
All right, Armando, yeah, I want to start with a question here. What are you doing in your business right now that's pretty exciting at the moment? What's
Yeah,
going on?
so first of all, I really enjoy what I do in real estate. So I do fix and flips. I do new construction. I'm also a real estate broker. I have a team of realtors that work for me. And I first started as a realtor, so I do put deals together, help buyers and sellers with their properties and represent them. What's exciting right now that is I'm diving into the new construction side of things and
Hmm.
the development. So I'm working on a four condominium new build project in the Boston area, and that's very exciting. It's new, and just looking forward to learning from it and going through all the ups and downs that it comes with doing something new within the business. So I've been able to kind of expand, and I'm very excited about that.
Okay. So now, are you working then as the general contractor, or did you hire a general contractor to do the work?
Yeah, so we do have a general contractor, and he's overseeing everything. So myself and I have a few partners on the deal. It's a pretty big deal. So we're kind of overseeing, making sure things are running smooth, keeping track of the material orders and making sure he's on track with the schedule and the calendar. So yeah, more like a managerial role, but still
Okay.
very involved.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a big investment, and it sounds like it could be extremely exciting. And
Yes.
you said it's a four unit?
Yeah, it's we're building a building with four units, and we're going to sell each condominium separately.
Oh, okay. And about
Yes,
how
sir.
big will these condominiums be?
So in the Boston area, a lot of people are looking for smaller spaces. A lot of like foreign students that need to buy a property in order to be able to stay in the Boston, in the States. And
Hmm.
a lot of people that are like I said, foreign exchange students or single people, or maybe like a young couple. A lot of young folks that are buying these condominiums. So we try to keep them within 500 to 700 square feet. Some of the bigger units, I think on the top floor, is probably going to be closer to 800 square feet. But they don't have to be too large, because they're open concept and just really efficient with the spaces.
Yeah. Well, that's very interesting. I remember one time um, when I had all my kids at home, I think I had a 980 square foot apartment that had three bedrooms. It was pretty snug.
I see, I see.
Yeah, that's why I
Yeah,
was asking about how big these were, because these are not like 3,000 square foot condominiums, like
no,
some of the apartments they have in New York that are huge.
gotcha. Yeah, you have the tiny ones in New York, and then you have these huge ones that are very, very costly, I'm sure, per month.
Mhm.
But yeah, the ones in Boston, like I said, mostly open concept. And if I'm not mistaken, they're all two bedrooms. So once you start squeezing that third bedroom in a smaller square footage, that's when things can get a little tight.
Hmm. Yeah. So wow, that's pretty nice. That's very interesting. So now you say you've got this network of real estate agents that you work. Are these different agent offices, or do they all work out of your office?
Yeah, so there's different brokerages. My partner and I, we own what is called Signature Realty. It's our own company, and we've slowly but surely been growing with agents. So each agents and realtors, in order to be able to sell real estate, they have to work under a licensed broker. We call it hang in your license.
Right.
So they have to hang their license in an office. So we have about 35 agents currently, and it's a challenging business, and I'm sure we'll get into challenges later, but it's really enjoyable. It's nice to see other people's careers being impactful in their careers and helping them and molding them and showing them the ropes and teaching them
Mhm.
and seeing them develop. It's really rewarding. Obviously, the brokerage shares that reward as well, and
Mhm.
it's good. I like it.
Yeah. Now, does the state of Massachusetts require that people sit for through a licensing exam to become a licensed real estate agent?
Yeah. So in Massachusetts, it's required a 40-hour accredited sit down class, and then you
Hmm.
have to take a test, the whole, step by step. And then so we're so close to Connecticut, especially here in Springfield, Massachusetts, and surrounding towns. Springfield is the birth of basketball, for those that don't know, that might be listening to your podcast. But nonetheless, Connecticut's right there. We're in the border, so a lot of the agents are duly licensed both in Massachusetts
Oh,
and Connecticut. So typically, they start in Massachusetts, even if they live in Connecticut and want that to be their primary place of work, to help clients. Typically like to start in Massachusetts, or we recommend because it's a little easier. It's a 40-hour workload versus in Connecticut, it's a 60-hour workload. So Massachusetts and Connecticut, they share what is called a reciprocity. Can't say that word,
sure.
but
Reciprocity. Yeah.
there you go. So they can take the class in one state, fill out an application, and pay a fee, and be licensed both in both states at that point.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes, sir.
That's nice. Yeah. My daughter-in-law is a real estate agent in California. So
Oh, nice, nice.
she has her license here. Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting watching what she does.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's every day's a little different, as you can
Yep.
probably
Yeah,
imagine.
everything's a little different because I remember having somebody I worked with who was in New Jersey talking about, well, she was buying this place and she needed an attorney, and I'm like, okay, things must be different there because in California, when you buy a house, you there's a, I think they call it a trust, is it a trust company? Anyway, they
Yeah,
do the full
title
background. Title
company.
company,
Title
that's it.
company.
They
Yes,
do an
sir. Yep.
entire research on the property and all of that and certify that it's clear. And when you're buying it, you're
Exactly.
buying a clean sheet, so to speak. But I guess other states have different ways of doing the same kind of thing.
Right.
So,
So Massachusetts is a very old state. We have an old school to go about a lot of things, and
mhm.
it's not always more efficient. So from what I've heard, because I obviously have never worked in a title company only state, from what I heard from clients and friends from Florida and Colorado, because those are title states, title company states, that it's a lot more efficient, is easier. Unfortunately, a lot of the attorneys in my area, they're kind of slow. Sometimes, they're not really like in it for, I don't know, they might do different, they might practice different sides of the law, and
Hmm.
real estate just happens to be something else they do on the side.
Hmm.
So what's good about having the title company, their focus is strictly real estate deals. So they've really kind of mastered the closings, and they have like a system. And unfortunately, like I said, a lot of the local attorneys here, they do all sorts of things, different things in the law, and real estate might not be their priority. So a lot of clients can suffer, lack of communication.
Sure.
Just overall, from what I heard, it's better when you have a title company state.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very interesting. Very interesting. The differences in how
Yes.
this, you know, an acre is an acre. You'd think it would be easy to sell, right?
Right,
No.
right, right. And
So,
then you have the different price points too.
mm,
In California, I mean, I'm sure it's all over the place, all the different ranges, Los Angeles versus maybe where you're at. But you watch these shows and you see these properties in California selling for millions of dollars and these huge commissions. In my area, the $1 million properties are very limited.
yeah.
So, we have to work a little bit harder. We've got to put more deals together just to be able to do really well.
Hmm.
In California, I'm sure you still have to work hard, but you can do less deals and still do really well financially. So it's
Yeah,
interesting in different
yeah.
markets.
I mean, it's really sad. The price of real estate in this state is so high.
It's high.
And
Yeah.
and mostly it's because the the population density is high.
Mm, I
But
see. I see.
but that's not all over the state. Okay. So for instance,
Right.
if you go north of Sacramento, it's basically agriculture
Wow.
in the northern part of the state. There's a lot of rice grown there, believe it or not. They grow a
Oh,
lot of
really?
rice
I didn't know
because
that.
they get a
Okay.
lot more rain up there. Okay.
Gotcha. I didn't know
But
that. Okay.
but then you get to the community of Reading and it's densely populated because that's the
Wow.
big center. And then you go farther in toward Oregon and it's like yeah, there's nothing. So, but because everybody thinks that California is like Los Angeles,
Right. Right. We all
wall to
assume
wall
that.
concrete, big city. Like most people think about Massachusetts as Boston because that's the only
Yes.
city they know, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
They know Boston more than the whole state,
right.
which is
You're
which
right,
is interesting.
exactly. So, yeah, that's very interesting. So, um, we were talking here about challenges. So
Yes, sir.
in your business, what are you finding is the biggest challenges?
You know, I've been doing real estate pretty much right out of college as an amateur, an investor, and the whole nine. And then at some point, I got my license, became more of a professional, both investor and real estate professional in sales, et cetera, et cetera. The most challenging, I would say, in the past, I would say for me, 6, 7 years, which is mostly my sales cycle in real
Mhm.
estate, is unique situations that keep happening, in the political scheme of things, or just the market, crazy price increases in the past 3, 4 years, and then the rates went down really low, and then they went up super
Mhm.
high. It's just always shifting, and when you feel like you got things under control, then something changes and it makes it worse. So it's always like something's always changing. And a lot of times it does feel like things get worse
Mhm.
as a real estate professional, and you have to navigate through that situation. Like right now, it's the prices are still high. Speaking of Massachusetts, also real estate can be very locally. Locally, it could change in different parts of the country. So it's not like just the entire nation. Usually, is like a
Right.
geographically located situation. So anyhow, in this market, not only are the prices high, and as you know, the rates are really high, but also now in over here we're entering the cold weather, so people are less likely both to either buy or to sell. A lot of them are waiting to see how things, what happens with the feds, and are they going to cut the interest rates? Sometimes, they cut the
Mhm.
rates, but that doesn't mean that it improves the real estate. When they cut rates, a lot of times it affects other parts, other financing areas. It could be like credit card financing, interest rates. So a lot of people assume, oh, they cut the rates, real estate's going to get better. Not necessarily. So, I think we're due for like some type of adjustment or a shift
Mhm.
that will help the real estate sector. But right now, it's very difficult. And, people that are buying are people that need to buy a house, or those that are selling, they need to sell a house for a specific reason. But it is a challenging time. So, you have to work a little harder.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I can see where that would be the case because I mean
Yeah.
I can't even imagine trying to pack up a house and move in the middle of winter
Oh, it's
somewhere.
horrible.
I mean,
All
just
right.
I mean, I hate cold weather to begin with. That's good enough reason to stay put. But I mean,
Exactly.
I understand that sometimes people have no choice. That something
Right,
happens
right.
in their job or in their family or their health, and they have to leave. And
Yes, yes,
and so that becomes a little bit more difficult. So, um,
absolutely.
interesting, very interesting. So, I am actually I'm really impressed with this thing that you and your partners are doing in building out this condo project. You
Yeah.
know, I'm really, first of all, I hope it is very successful for you.
Thank you, sir.
I mean,
Appreciate it, John.
sometimes, you hope you do more than break even, and sometimes you lose your shirt depending on what's going on. Because I know a lot of
Yeah,
people that did a lot of flipping found out it wasn't as easy as it looked.
correct,
Yeah.
correct. I've been in situations, John, where I've lost money. I've
Mhm.
felt like I'm gotten this close to losing, my shirt, like you said.
Mhm.
And you really have to be you have to treat it like a profession. I think some people, they just think about, oh, it's quick money, it's gonna
Mhm.
flip and it's easy, and they make a lot of bad decisions. You really have to take your time and analyze deals, analyzing numbers. The numbers, they run the deals. Numbers is
Mhm.
number one. And just finding good property. And even when you do your homework, there's still times
Mhm.
the situations come up you can't control. Things
Yeah.
get tied up legally, or
Mhm.
through the permitting process, or there's a situation, there's a market shift, and the valuations drop 10, 15%. You weren't expecting it.
Sure.
So you have I've learned to be more conservative almost every time that I'm in going through these seasons, and I find it okay. I'm going to be conservative and with my numbers, not on today's pricing, but I'm going to project future pricing. And then, you still have to be competitive. So it is a challenge. And I
Sure.
think the people that do well, every single day, they're diving into their business, they're diving into the numbers, They're constantly looking for ways to stay ahead, stay afloat. And there's, like I said, there's a lot of challenges, but if it was easy, everyone would be successful, everyone would do it. So it's
Hmm.
just part of the game, if you want to call it that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it is to an extent kind of. I mean, yeah, I think you have to kind of look at it as a game sometimes just to keep your
Yeah,
sanity, you know.
absolutely,
Say,
absolutely.
let me see if I can get a better roll of the dice this time,
Hmm, hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I can imagine it must be a real challenge when you don't know what the interest rates are going to do,
Correct.
and they, I mean, even a point changes whether or not somebody can afford a house or not,
Right, right,
you
right.
know.
I had a situation, John, where I had a property under contract, and it's a buyer's market over here, and there's pockets where it's not, but overall in Massachusetts, it's a buyer's market. So buyers are getting a little crazy. They're asking for all sorts of things, and they're almost taking advantage of the sellers. But sellers were taking advantage of buyers for a long time.
Sure,
So the tides are shifting, right?
sure,
So I had a situation in here in a town in Holyoke where I have a multifamily, beautiful property, probably one of the nicest properties that I've been able to, I guess, flip. And we had it on the contract. All of a sudden, the buyer's backing out. Before on the seller's market, it's not a big deal. I can get another seller. Now I got to hold on to these people. Like my life depends on it. So they had a $10,000 closing cost credit. The house was like, I believe it's 490, if I'm not mistaken, with $10,000 back. So before they were able to back out, I reached back and said, "Hey, listen, why don't I give you guys another $10,000 as a closing cost credit?" So now they're at 490 with $20,000 as a closing cost credit, and I had to do a bunch of repairs through the inspection as well that weren't really, necessary. But anyhow, it's an older house. So I guess my point was, as a seller and as a listing agent representing the seller, you have to like be willing to offer more and to help the buyer if the end goal is to sell the property and overall you're still able to make money. But you can't like not be active
hmm,
trying to help the buyer. So, and a lot of times, you have to do more than what you wanted to do. And
sure,
you have to put your pride aside, and you have to put the ego aside because that's not going to help you make any money in this business. So, you know, I haven't done the $20,000 credit in a very long time, but it just reflects, now that we're entering the cold season, market slower, real estate slower, and then it's a buyer's market. Like I said, there's more properties out there that has significant number of buyers looking at properties and with the rates and everything. So people, believe it or not, John, people are buying houses in this market with little to no money. Not because I mean anybody would want to get something as for as cheap as possible, but a lot of them just don't have money. And I've never kind of understood that, how do you want to buy a house with no money? But it's just the reality. There's a lot of unqualified people that are getting mortgages that are in debt. And sometimes I feel like, am I doing the right thing selling this
yeah,
house to this person? But I'm also not the lender. So if the bank's willing to take the risk, I'll sell them the property. But it is a very challenging and strange situation with in this
yeah.
business right now.
I'm surprised at that because part of that whole idea of selling, financing people in homes that they really couldn't qualify for is kind of what led to the crash in 2008,
Correct,
you
correct.
know.
So I find a lot of lenders are getting really creative, but and I can appreciate them trying to help people, but then I see stuff like because I'm diving into the business like man, they're really like pushing this person that it's almost like forcing this buyer to buy a property, and everyone gets paid, but is it a good thing? Certain
Yeah,
people, I honestly feel like they should not be buying houses. Like if
yeah,
you have credit card debt and you don't have $4,000 saved and you're trying to buy $500,000 property, it doesn't make a lot of sense, in my
no,
opinion.
no. And I mean, here, like here in California, I would say probably a median home. Now
$700?
that's not even realistic anymore. But um,
Mm,
say there's a house like a new housing development that's in the say low 400s. So you're looking at maybe a
okay.
$450,000 house, and the bank wants 20% down.
Mm,
You got to come up with 90 grand.
yeah, it's a lot of money.
That's a
It's a lot of
lot of
money.
money to put down, especially if you don't own a home.
Right,
So where's your 90 grand coming from? I hope you bought Bitcoin when it was a penny,
right.
because maybe now you can make a down payment. But,
All right.
so I can understand why people are doing financing the way they're doing it.
Yeah, the
You
FHA
know,
loan is the big one.
and I'm really wondering if there needs to be a fundamental change in the way interest is calculated, because
Mm,
when you look at a 30-year amortization rate,
mm,
I mean, your first year, you're paying pennies on a dollar against and
yeah.
the rest of it's going to, um, so, and I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying when we look at the overall environment of trying to find housing for people and people to live and to afford something,
Hmm.
it's gotten way out of hand. And to an extent, I remember back when I was younger and people were first talked about investing in real estate, and I always was like, why? Why do you want to invest in real estate? But a lot of
Mm,
people did.
yeah.
And I'll tell you what happens here sometimes too, is a new housing development will go in and it'll be kind of what we'll call in the affordable range, whatever that is. Okay.
Yeah.
And you get other people who are well heeled who'll snap up two or three of those and turn
Mm,
them into rentals.
yeah.
Okay.
You got these big corporations that are buying a bunch of
Right.
stuff too, and then
And so
renting
you've
it.
got, yeah. And so you've got these people all living in rentals,
Hmm.
and they're getting, and then, 5 years later, some of these organizations are selling these homes. Well, recently I read an article that said something like some of these big corporations that were buying these houses are getting out of them because it's costing them money now.
Yeah, Zillow made a huge mistake. They started buying a bunch of properties, and then they almost went belly up because of it. They
Yeah.
weren't buying them at the right price. They don't understand a lot of the local markets,
Right.
so
Yeah. Yeah. It's not
scary.
just, oh, well, hey, that $400,000 house in your neighborhood looks really good compared to what I was be getting over here on the West Coast.
Exactly,
And then you
exactly.
realize the thing depreciated 50,000 overnight and you expected it to double in 3 years, and it's not going to happen.
No, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and then like you said, John, I think you hit a couple points there. People are really struggling in this country, and there's got to be some fundamental changes. I would say foundational changes in this country with when it comes to people, college, financing, property. I know now the administration wants to push this 50-year loan, and I see the pros and cons. There's a lot of cons though. Maybe
Mhm.
some of the pros is for these, professional investors, like you mentioned, that are grabbing stuff up.
Mhm.
They're gonna love a 50-year loan because who's paying the mortgage is their renters. It's not like they're
Right.
paying out of pocket. Now their 30-year mortgage was probably, just throw numbers out there. Maybe they were paying 2,500 a month for the mortgage. Now with the 50-year product, now they're paying 2,100, so they're making $400 extra in cash flow. So it benefits the successful investor with money, but the young family, the
Mhm.
homeowner, the guy that's blue collar, plumber, he's working his 9 to 5, makes enough money
Mhm.
to live, with his family. But now he's getting into this 50-year product, thinking it's a great product, but he's never going to own that property outright, by the time
Yeah.
he dies, maybe. But and like you said, the first year is completely all interest because I'm seeing it now on my
Mhm.
on my personal stuff, and I can only imagine that 50-year product. I mean, if let's say you're buying a house for $500,000, or let's call it 400, you might end up paying 1.6 million at the end of that 50 year, if not
Yeah.
more. So
Yeah.
it feels kind of scammy, I'm getting a $400,000 house, and it's going to appreciate over time, so they say, right? Which partially true, but your mortgages, your payments, you're going to end up almost being belly up negative, when the house that you thought was 400,000, but if you add all your payments after 30, 40, now 50 years, you're paying millions of dollars for a property that I don't know if it's going to be worth millions of dollars in 40, 50 years. So
Yeah.
it's insane.
Yeah. It's crazy. And like I said, some of these things, it's funny how financial things always seem to settle down. I mean, I remember this when we moved to California in 1965,
Mm,
in 1964, my mom bought a house in the community of Altadena.
okay.
That, by the way, that block I used to live on doesn't exist anymore.
Oh,
thanks to those fires this last winter.
oh, yeah,
That
sorry,
whole
yeah, that's
community
crazy.
is gone. I just seen it on a
Wow,
map. I haven't gone and looked. Okay. My
wow,
mom bought
insane.
this two-bedroom, one bath house
Okay,
with a detached garage, and it had a pretty good sized yard.
nice.
And I think, let's see, I was 12. By the time I was 18, 6 years later, and she'd remarried and they went to sell the house, she lost money on it.
Wow, really?
All right. And she paid less than
Wow,
20 grand for the house.
jeez.
Okay. And the man she married, who had a much nicer home in another part of Altadena, a bigger
Mm,
ranch style home he lost money on his house.
jeez.
And then they moved,
So these
rented for a
properties
little
didn't
bit,
appreciate?
bought another house in Los Angeles,
Mm.
lived there a couple of years, and made money on it. I mean, it's like there was a point in time where real estate just went stagnant or plummeted,
Yeah.
and then it boomed because I think there was a lot of cheap housing got snapped
Mm.
up, and then the prices went up like within two
Yeah.
years. And I
Right.
mean, I just can't believe that my mom sold a two-bedroom house and lost money on it. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense that she sold it for
Wow.
less than what she paid for it.
Yeah, especially if you
It's
pay $20,000 for it, it's insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I know there's going to be listeners here going, "You bought a house for 20 grand? I can't buy a car for 20 grand."
Seriously. You can't buy a motorcycle for 20 grand, never mind a car.
I know. Yeah. Just go price a Harley, find out what that thing costs.
Right? 30, 40 grand, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's
So,
insane.
Armando, where do you see your business in like 6 months to a year?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, I want to continue growing the brokerage, assisting agents. I think it could be a very profitable and stable business. I call it's like the home of everything. I would say on the development side, I can see myself obviously getting through all the projects I have going on, building the four unit condominium project and getting into bigger development projects. Not so much like in a gradual growth, but I do want to make some big leaps because I have some pretty aggressive goals. So I would like to see myself getting involved in a project where there's a 30 to 40 unit development,
Hmm.
30, 40 condominiums in the Boston area. I'm, trying to invest a lot in that around the Boston area, which is the big city here, where that product makes sense. Where I live, which is 2 hours outside of Boston, the Springfield market, we call it. Also, the Hartford market. That's not a viable product here. I guess the housing demand is not as strong in this area as it is in the major city here in Boston. However, that's why I want to stay out there and focus on development. And you also get bigger price points, probably similar to, LA compared to other parts of
Yeah.
your state.
Yeah. Because I imagine that probably when you get into it, when you're talking about property value within the city of Boston, you're probably not that dissimilar from within the city of LA
Correct.
because the
Agree.
demand is there because people want to live close to where they work and
Exactly.
it's going to be high. And I know the Boston area has got a lot of tech companies now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And with your universities there,
Hmm.
including MIT, I mean, you've got a lot of basis. It's a lot like the Silicon Valley area of California
Very similar.
between
Yep.
Berkeley and Stanford and San Jose State and UC
Hmm.
Davis. There's a lot of, you know, very technical people or people coming out with technical degrees that all work in that. And it just drives an economy. And of course, it drives pricing upward because the demand is there,
Absolutely. Yeah.
which is
People that are making, well, good money, they want to be comfortable. They want to live near their jobs, especially when in areas like, LA where it's congested with traffic and obviously
Mhm,
Boston and New York City, people don't want to travel a long distance, because it takes a lot of time and
mhm,
people are willing to spend more money for to save time and time is money. So they're
mhm,
able to exchange, because they have the money, the funds. And like I said, a lot of foreign students, they're required to kind of own real estate if they want to kind of stay in the country past studying and actually working in the country, they have to own real estate. That's one of the requirements. So a lot of the, families they're wealthy, that have money, Singapore, I don't know, China, they're sending their
mhm.
kids over here and they're buying property for them. So that's kind of where these condominiums, it's a good product in the Boston area, which I'm really,
Yeah.
focused right now at this time.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
Yes, sir.
That's great. Well, Armando, thank you so much for your time tonight. I really appreciate it. This has
You're
been
welcome.
very
Thank you.
interesting. Um, I think that listeners of this stage can understand the the challenges
Yes,
maybe
sir.
in an area that they're not. And so when they're looking for themselves at expanding or looking at other areas where, or maybe with even looking around in their own area going, well, why is it like this? As, oh yeah, I remember that Armando guy saying something about these kinds of things. And it's an educational,
Yes, sir.
and growing a business is not easy.
Yes, sir.
It takes a
Can I
lot of
can I
work.
say can I say
Sure,
one last thing?
sure, go right ahead.
I want to add value to your, to your audience, obviously, and people that are thinking about buying or investing real estate. You
Hmm.
know, number one is, save as much money as you can. I know it sounds pretty ABC level, but it's true. Save as much money as you can. Be as debt free as you possibly can before you get into real estate. You don't always have to have a ton of money, but just having those reserves in case something does happen with the property, it's good to have money put aside for that. And number two, maybe this should be number one, find yourself a good realtor that not just that is knowledgeable and he knows what he's doing and he's successful, but it has integrity. There's people still good out there. I know realtors have a bad rap, similar to, I guess, car salesmen, but find yourself a good realtor that you've been able to kind of, maybe build a relationship with them, get to know them before you hire them. Uh, look out, look at their online credibility, reviews is good. Find out, what other clients are saying. Ask for reviews from other clients he's worked with. Because you need a trusted advisor. I know people say, realtors are all scammers, but it's not true at all. There are some good realtors that care. It's not just making money, that's a part of it. But realtors, not to toot my own horn, but if I help the client and they're happy, not only am I going to make money automatically, I don't have to chase the money. It's going to happen. I get a commission on it, but they're going to refer me. So if I do a good job,
Right.
that person's going to be my biggest advocate. I don't have to advertise and
No, you
put
don't.
banners up, So find yourself a good advisor, someone that's really going to guide you through the process. And obviously, they need to know what they're doing. So it's not just that they're a good person, but they have to know what they're doing. So take the time, interview different realtors, find yourself someone that you can really trust and you feel good working with them and you have a good vibe with that realtor. Like you guys can really have a good energy together and they're going to connect you with a lender, they're going to connect you with a trusted attorney if you're an attorney state or a closing company. I think that's probably my biggest advice is, you know, put yourself in a strong financial position and find good people to work with. That's all.
Yeah, that's great. That's great advice. I mean,
Thank you,
even if
John.
you're looking for an attorney or you're looking for a financial advisor, it's the same good advice. So
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, Armando, thank you so much, and good luck with
Thank
that
you, sir.
condo project. I wish you the best of luck with that.
Appreciate that, man. At some point, I'll update you if if you want to hear more about it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, shoot me something, and maybe we can trade high fives over the Patriots this season, huh?
Absolutely. They're doing well. I love them right now.
All righty. Thanks
Yes,
a
sir.
lot, man. Take care.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Good night.
Good night.